So according to David Schwartz on Twitter, about the only reason to oppose the AMM amendment is if you don't want the XRP ledger to grow. That would be rational if you thought the XRPL was currently too broken and couldn't handle it. I don't believe either of those things. And I agree, it was built to be a value exchange.
Automated market makers, I think, will help improve that liquidity because they can capture a long tail of assets better than technologies like order books can.
And a sort of secret sauce that will allow liquidity providers to get more of the profits when we're lost to arbitrage, and it will be bolstered by incentive programs. The value proposition of XRP is that it has these liquidity pools. Automated market makers on the XRP ledger could be a game changer, uniquely positioning it to leapfrog other DEXs.
The XRP Ledger is poised to become an ecosystem of cooperatively interconnected XRPL protocol chains. Welcome to the DeFi Standard, and this is Mickey B. Fresh. Ladies and gentlemen, XRP community, it's time to set a new standard and to amplify the heartbeat of our digital economy, and it all starts with one game-changing amendment. Liquidity is the lifeblood of crypto. And then the decentralized DEX on the XRP ledger is the heartbeat at the center of the XRP ledger, pumping fast, low-cost, expansive liquidity throughout the network. The world's first established decentralized exchange. So David Schwartz recently commented on Twitter regarding the amendment voting process from the UNL Validators regarding XLS30D amendment. He says, in general, validators shouldn't vote yes individually. The community should make a decision, and then validators should nearly all vote yes when they believe the community is on board and enough nodes support the change. So that is very interesting right there, because we have 35 UNL validators and they represent the community. And I think it's important that the community knows that and the validators know that as well. Then he goes on to say, the amendment voting process is intended to coordinate activation and prevent activation if a problem is discovered. It's really not supposed to be a governance mechanism. In my opinion, David Schwartz's opinion, validators should generally vote what they think the community has agreed on and not what they think is best. I think it's pretty overwhelming. The community is for the automated market maker. I mean, this is a no-brainer. The amount of benefits, and I think that hasn't been highlighted enough in a lot of these discussions because I just don't think the knowledge level is there. And the narrative has steered to people scaring others away because of a permanent loss, but not mentioning all the benefits. The XRPL DEX enables anyone on the ledger to trade directly and efficiently. You could buy crypto, stablecoins, XRP, digital assets. This was the very first DEX. The AMM is being added to the DEX, integrated into it. And this will provide the XRP ledger with a native economic model that drives storage demand for XRP and steady usage on the ledger and the ability for any XRP holder to deposit their tokens into the AMM's pools and earn not just one, not two, but three unique yield streams. The XRP Ledger was purpose-built and designed with the world's first decentralized automated value exchange and trading matching engine. It was not built for cross-border payments. That was a use case that came along after. It was built to be a value exchange, first and foremost, and a payments network. XLS30S AMM Spec has been tested and refined by Ripple for the past 2 years. Now it's time to unleash XRPL's full potential. The combination of the AMM liquidity pools and the existing DEX limit order book at the network layer makes the XRPL AMM pools far superior to anything else in the crypto industry. With its innovative design, there is a major effort underway to integrate ODL into the XRP Ledger's DEX. This is probably the single misunderstood and overlooked thing about this whole amendment from the community, that ODL is designed to run through the ledger. That's its purpose. It's always been that way, but now he's confirmed that. Multiple executives have confirmed the intentions to run Liquidity Hub through the ledger. It's a value exchange, and now we have the ability to provide liquidity. So what are we waiting for? Ripple is the only one that's going to provide large volume in the beginning. There's going to be no significant increase in volume. You know why? Because it's going to look the same from the outside for traders. And I think that's something community hasn't really grasped. And there's been a few entities in the community who have controlled the narrative. You need to be careful to who you listen to. And they might have ulterior motives. So be careful. And this is your pocket and your asset. And this is a no-brainer. Like this, any other network would be begging for something like this. And we're sitting here debating after Ripple already put through multiple tests, and theoretically, if it's too successful, it could clog the ledger. Like, think of that. That's ridiculous.
This market maker is automated, which means it's built into the XRP ledger. So if there's an automated market maker between two assets, say XRP and some USD asset, that automated market maker will both buy and sell XRP at any time to anybody who wants to sell or buy XRP. The other cool thing about it is it's a ledger function that users can participate in. So if you have XRP or USD, you can XRP or USD to the market maker to trade with. And in exchange, you sort of own shares. It's effectively like owning a portion of the sort of the AMM's assets. And you get tokens that represent that ownership, which you can then hold or trade. So it boosts the liquidity on the ledger, and it sort of boosts the utility. But the thing that's the most exciting to me, and this is personal to me because I've been trading assets for a very long time, it actually harvests volatility. It makes a profit when it trades, and volatility drives people to trade. If you look at like the volume in the trade of digital assets, price drives volume, but also volatility drives volume. When there's volatility, when the price goes up, there's people who want to buy and sell because it's a different price. And so that prompts them to act. There's a lot of volatility in digital assets. So there's a lot of opportunity to make revenue from people trading based on the volatility.
So crypto capital, this is the asset we want. Why do you want to hold the asset? Everyone's sitting here holding their XRP in their cold storage and waiting for something to happen. Bank of America is this. But we need to change that mindset, because nothing's going to happen. I'm telling you right now, nothing's going to happen until the ecosystem and there's demand for XRP. And it's coming. It's coming very soon, but it's not here yet. And it'll come in different waves. And I can't answer the question of when, or how much. But I can tell you what, a token whose ownership provides an ongoing access to something of value and can therefore be valued based on the net present value of its future cash flow. Any asset that is staked, bonded, or otherwise, let's throw in there, deposited as liquidity, committed in order to claim on value flows can be considered a crypto capital. These can be valued by taking the net present value of their future cash flows divided by their value flows they're expected to generate. So this is the model that XRP is going to have. So we're getting used to that. It's not just providing liquidity. You're putting your assets, when it's in the AMM, they're going into literally an investment vehicle. That's what it is. It's taking your assets and it's earning in 3 ways. What are those 3 ways? So this is not like putting them in Uniswap or some Sushi Swap or some other DApp or DEX. This is a innovative trio of technologies built at the network layer of a 10-year-old purpose-built value exchange. It's now getting its economic model that it's missing. And we'll see here, all assets need economic models, all networks. And another thing here is, even if you don't plan on participating in automated market maker pools, there's no reason to hold the rest of those back. It's only going to benefit everyone. I mean, not for nothing, it's the single biggest amendment to ever go through on the ledger. And yeah, it's probably bigger than hooks because it's its economic model. That's why this came before hooks. And I'm all for programmability. I 100% support Zahao and the sidechain. But from a design point of view, this needed to come first because it's a foundation to provide consistent demand and usage for XRP as liquidity in the AMM pools. Liquidity and yield. Those 3 things are basically what you could think of like XRP. About the only reason to oppose the AMM amendment is if you don't want the XRP ledger to grow. That would be rational if you thought the XRPL was currently too broken and couldn't handle it. I don't believe either of those things. And I agree, it was built to be a value exchange. So basically he's saying when amendments, there's this much effort put into them over 2 years period that are this monumental, that are built to work with the existing technologies and core protocols. This isn't some amendment that's outside the box, that's bringing some extravagant new feature that's never been tested before. This is automated market makers. Every network has them. So we have the recent AMM performance testing. This is with Ripple D 1.120 release. The AMM amendment stands out as a significant feature in both size and scope. Since September 2022, RippleX performance team has collaborated closely with the engineering team responsible for the AMM feature implementation. This report represents a thorough overview of our testing approach, findings, and key takeaways. Based on our analysis, we're confident that activating the AMM amendment will not negatively impact the network's consensus performance or its ability to process other transactions. That's straight from Ripple. They've been working on this for well over 2 years. They have a dedicated team of engineers, PhD scientists, mathematicians, and developers, all working towards this amendment. This isn't just a random few open source developers, and they put together a full-scale test environment and showed there will be no negative impact on the DEX, which will be integrated with the AMMs on the consensus and the load. Of course, if you're going to run more transactions through and you're going to have more pathfinding, which is what the payment execution is, and it's one of the three technologies that represent this trio of technologies. And the AMM is integrated directly into the DEX. So they write, in conclusion, to underscore our scale of load tests, we have juxtaposed the load test throughput with a year-to-date throughput represented as current TPS of payment transactions in the graph below. This is automated market makers. Every network has them, but they don't have them built into the network layer. Very few do, and the ones that do are basically app chains, and they don't have native decentralized exchanges with central limit order books that have been up and running for 10 years, and they don't have payment execution engines that could do atomic cross-currency settlement between two different currencies and use XRP as a bridge asset. That's where the bridge asset concept comes from, the ledgers protocols. They also don't have pathfinding, where you could draw down multiple different order books and now integrate the AMM to hop through different pools. So it'll draw down XRP BTC if it has to, XRP USD, and it'll go from these different pools and it natively routes that. Of course, the more multi-hop routing takes more space up in the ledger, but there's been a significant testing done, and I'll post the blog below along with the testing, which RippleX put together the environment. So no, it's not something a dev could replicate on their own. It's a full-scale testing environment with over 100,000 accounts, and they simulated all of this. It's an AMM. It's built to be a value exchange. These are things that we want the UNL validators to make sure they're putting through amendments that are best for the community. But at some point here, we don't want to delay just for the sense of going through every little discussion and narrative of what should theoretically be. This is too important to take up the time that we've waited this long, and we're on the brink of falling behind. We need to get going. And anyone who's running a project should be voting yes. There's no excuse. Like he said here, the only reason to oppose the AMM amendment is if you don't want the XRPL to grow. If you're afraid of it being too successful, and there's been some tweets online, be careful, because people have ulterior motives. Either they don't own XRP and they just want to talk about it, like certain people, and others have other motives for whatever reason. I don't know. But something that's so beneficial, that provides yield in your pocket, what other amendment, whatever announcement, what other thing has ever offered you the ability to earn native yield in a non-custodial way with your XRP? Nada. Nothing. Ever. What about 3 ways to do that? And it's not even just about earning from the AMM pools. It's the ancillary products, dApps, and protocols that will be built off of these AMM pools. I'm going to go quickly describe it. Because of the AMM pools, the liquidity token is the most important component of that to create composability. So instead of being just an opportunity cost that you're locking your XRP up, you receive this share in the AMM pools. And yes, it's a share. It's an ownership in the AMM pools. And like the CFA Institute said, the long-term strategic view in their eyes is owning a share in the network. Forget whatever SEC and Gensler and all that. This is a new asset class. And these are platform and network economies. If you do not build the network as a network economy, it will not compete with the other networks. XRP will not just get adopted by institutions because it's XRP. It's based on an ecosystem and protocols. The benefit for us here is that Ripple has put all the time, the effort, the money, the XRP into building RippleNet. Why is that important? It's very important for this right now, is because that will allow massive volume to run through the AMM pools. If you don't have volume running through the pools, there's no point in providing liquidity for it. This is the chicken and the egg that David Schwartz has talked about, that you've probably all heard before. How do you get liquidity and payment volume simultaneously? Well, this is how you do it. They chose to go the institutional route and subsidize that way and incentivize all the enterprise payments, because that's probably the best way that you're going to see real volume, not just spec trading volume and noise traders. Now that will be there, but that's what Uniswap has. That's what SushiSwap only has. Now we're going to have real payment volume for use case. It's in the real world, cross-border payments. But the goal has always been, how do we find that organic liquidity to match it? And the natural liquidity, it's on Ledger. So instead of subsidizing and paying market makers anymore, the rewards are going to all come back to the network. So on top of these three rewards, David Schwartz said it will be bolstered by rewards programs. We could think logically, well, there's no need to incentivize liquidity on professional market makers on ODL and many of these corridors, that could start coming back to the ledger. Something I've been saying for 2 years. Bob Ways recently said, incentivizing liquidity. So yes, the ledger is absolutely for retail just as much as institutional. That's why it's damaging when that narrative is out there. But I think once this AMM is out there and people see what it's capable of doing, because Ripple can provide the payment volume, and then we know of Prisma, which is their proprietary intelligent liquidity router. So there could be like virtual pools or interledger connectors, let's call them, because that's what RippleNet is built on, is interledger, and interledger connectors can have accounts on two networks and hold both assets. They could tap down into the liquidity on the underlying blockchain, the XRP Ledger, to tap into the liquidity. Now, the one thing that still needs to be accomplished is a array of premium stablecoins issued on the XRP Ledger and decentralized blue chip crypto assets brought over. So those two things still have to happen. So this isn't going to be some jump off as soon as the amendment goes live. And secondly, the trading and transactional side, as a community, we need to shift to the supply side. David Schwartz, ever since he said it to King Solomon in that interview, when he asked him, he goes, yeah, the liquidity, that's great, but I'm more interested in the supply side, because that's what earns everyone who has XRP the ability to earn yield. And even if you're not thinking about going in the pools, there will be ancillary lending and borrowing next to it because of that. Because people are going to want to borrow against their liquidity tokens, which are guaranteed by the ledger. That opens up the other side of the market. People to lend their XRP and their stable coins in a secured, decentralized, low-risk manner. We could even see it's like a money market built into the ledger as another amendment, as a programmable feature. This is the benefits of having programmability at the ledger. You build the core primitives into this foundation, and that's probably the right way to build DeFi. And then you need programmability on top for the developers and the dApps. But building in things like this, you could even build in a decentralized stablecoin like David Schwartz has suggested. And then you have things like hooks, which is a layer 1 light smart contracts, is complementary to the programmability built into the ledger. And then on top of that, you have things like EVM smart contracts and Codius, and all three are complementary to each other and they are composable.
Hello everyone, time for me to interfere with a small message. One thing Mickey doesn't mention enough in my opinion is pointing out the existence of the Mickey B. Fresh Patreon group. The Mickey B. Fresh Patreon group is a private educational channel where we focus on providing content based on facts and where we try to leave speculation at the door. As much as most of us like a little conspiracy theory, it is not a subject we cover in this group, and we will ask all future members to leave their 589 hoodies at the coat rack near the entrance. The goal of our group is to provide the crypto community with in-depth information about the coming explosion of everything being built in the XRP, SGB, and Flare and Root network ecosystems. We pride ourselves on transparency and evidence-based speculation of what is yet to pass. We have a large number of knowledgeable and helpful members who are willing to share and help you out with all the questions you have. Also, there is the opportunity to take advantage of the information provided daily by Mickey via posts, over 3,100 voice notes, or direct interaction by chat. We also have a loyal team of very knowledgeable DeFi standard admins who put a lot of time and effort into the Patreon group and are there to lend a helping hand if needed. You can become a member of our Telegram group by signing up via the link that is posted on the homepage of the Mickey B. Fresh website.
The load of the load of the AMM could impact the XRP ledger, basically.
We obviously have mitigation already in place. Otherwise, anybody, transactions are very, very cheap, right? They're much, much, much less than a penny. And so someone could easily, send hundreds of thousands of transactions to the XRP ledger already as like an attack. So we have mitigations in place for that. We have regulation of the rate at which transactions go into the ledger. We have fee escalation. So we already have mitigations for those problems. They won't break the network. And again, those transactions will scale with the real utility that people are getting. And the scaling factor is roughly the same as it is now, because like people are trying to do the same thing on the order book today. So essentially, like if that becomes a problem, it would only be because the AMM was like incredibly popular. Obviously, we would still have to do work to mitigate those problems, but like that would be a great, like it would be fantastic if the XRP Ledger, where we had so many transactions that we had to implement mitigations because real utility and real trading volume was taking place at a factor of tens or hundreds of times what it is today. I hope we get in that situation. Is that the AMM amendment increases liquidity and reduces spreads, and the opportunity to front run, the bigger the spread and the lower the liquidity, the more effective front running is. So if we tighten spreads and reduce liquidity, overall front running will be less effective. But I do think it's possible that we will see an issue. I mean, it's not technically front running; it's a form of arbitrage. But it is a case where arbitrageurs profit at the expense of traders. And if we do see more of that, we do have some suggestions for techniques to combat it. It's just I don't think we exactly know like what that's going to look like for real. But I don't think that's a reason to oppose the AMM amendment again, because that would be, if we have a problem with front running, it's going to be because the AMM amendment has made the DEX very, very popular, and that would be a good problem to have.
So according to David Schwartz on Twitter, about the only reason to oppose the AMM amendment is if you don't want the XRP ledger to grow. That would be rational if you thought the XRPL was currently too broken and couldn't handle it. I don't believe either of those things. And I agree, it was built to be a value exchange. And then he says,
so I was always of the mind that this system was going to be ripe for some kind of a disruption. And when I saw DeFi, I started to see where that disruption was going to come from. And I started to understand that this is going to be where it goes. And what I've tried to tell people is what you need to understand about this new DeFi system is it will start in the third world and it will grow from there in the second world, third world, and then it will come here and completely flatten you. United States, I don't see us in any way being the leader in this.
Oh,
I think we are going to, it's going to be rammed down our throat is what it's going to be. And it just occurred to me that this is a brand new financial system and that this is going to replace the current C5 financial system.